Welcome, everyone, to another segment of Kevin's Commentary. We're excited today because we have the new head coach of the University of Wyoming Cowboy football program, Craig Bohl's with us, and there's no doubt he's brought excitement back to the state of Wyoming. Everybody's thrilled, and we welcome you to the show, Coach. Just so happy to have you.
Well, glad to be on. It's really been a great ride in the short time I've been here in Wyoming.
You know, it's amazing. You went through a national championship season. You got out here. You got a recruiting season already in. You've been through half the state of Wyoming. Other than that, what have you been doing?
You know what? Drinking a lot of coffee, Mountain Dew, and Red Bulls. I can tell you that. Sleeping a little bit. You know, the time for us to really put a great football program, some people may think it's a long time, but you know what? Football coaches live in dog years. We've got a lot of hay to make here in a short amount of time.
Coach, got to ask you, what you saw at the University of Wyoming that attracted you to this job?
Well, I think first of all, just the core values. While I had not lived in the state, I had vacationed quite a bit out here. My dad had been stationed in the Air Force Base. A lot of the coaches that I had worked for had spent time in Wyoming. And also just being from Nebraska and spending a great deal of time in North Dakota, I knew that there were only going to be certain areas of the country that I particularly wanted to live. And Wyoming was a state and a region that I always looked at and said, you know what, if that opportunity would ever come open, that'd be a job that I'd certainly be interested in. Well,
you've certainly embraced this university, the state of Wyoming. He's been through half the state already, folks. It's unbelievable just driving. You are obviously a fit to this program, and certainly that's what Tom Berman saw when he hired you, and we all now feel that. Could you speak to that a little bit, you and a fit here?
Well, I think, first of all, you kind of got to know who you are and where you're at. And, you know, some of my mentors in coaching in different parts of the country said that's really important to understand who you are, what kind of core values you have. Do those align with the people in that region? That's going to have a reflection of the kind of football program that we build and that our fan base will embrace. Sometimes you can have all the X's and O's that you want, but if the culture's not right, it's not going to work. I'm firmly convinced the style of brand of football that I personally believe in, our coaching staff believes in, that fits in well with the great tradition that Wyoming has.
Coach, not many guys have been as successful as you have. It's amazing, 3 national championships at North Dakota State, and you are a guy that knows how to build a program at a high level. Is there a formula, is there a philosophy that you carry that probably could work just about anywhere?
No, I don't think it would work anywhere. I think there's certain places that this program, this philosophy will work. And certainly things that our staff has developed through the years. We've been together for a long time, and any head football coach will tell you, you know, it's not about the head coach, it's about the body of men that are with you. But without question, some of the coaches that I had a privilege of working underneath really helped build a philosophy. And the pinnacle was the time I spent at the University of Nebraska, not only as a player, as a former I was a graduate assistant and then as an assistant coach, and the guy I worked for, Tom Osborne, really had a clear vision. We took that, molded that, we moved it 500 miles north to Fargo, plopped it there. The results were 3 national championships. We've moved that model and we put it in Laramie. You know what, if you take Wyoming, Nebraska, and North Dakota, there's a lot more similarities than there are differences.
You know, Coach, obviously coaching changes are made usually because the program isn't doing well, and there's no doubt that there's a lot of work to be done here. But the tradition is here. Success has been here in the past. You, of course, so familiar with Bob Devaney and all of that crew. You believe it can be done here, and just your thought about that.
Well, I have a firm conviction it can be done. You know, I look and say, hey, if you look up on the letterings on our stadium here, when you see Gator Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Holiday Bowl, the Las Vegas Bowl, New Mexico Bowl, those are special times. You know, when I was a high school football player, I remember when the Wyoming Cowboys went to the Fiesta Bowl. And you say, well, that can't be done. Well, why can't that be done? And we've got to rekindle and come back to our roots, really understanding what we are. Some of the things that we've talked about, returning to a lot of the traditional core values. even from the colors we're going to wear, the type of uniforms we're going to have, and the style of football we're going to play. We're going to re-engage part of the past. Football has changed some, but it has not changed drastically. And I think the University of Wyoming has lost its course a little bit. We're going to put it right on the right track.
And that course, talk a little bit about that, what you believe is that course.
Well, one thing that's great about football is a physical, demanding game. You know what, if you want to have all the bells and whistles and things like that, I'm convinced that that's not going to be sustained here. For us to put together a winning tradition, we're going to need to play hard-nosed, tough cowboy football. And that sounds like a broad term, but it's really not. I mean, when you look at it, football, many times we say is a complicating game, but it's a game of unity, discipline, focus, having a real sound philosophy offensively, defensively, in the kicking game. We're going to restructure things, and we'll have systems that put in place to our players will know exactly what they're doing. They're going to play really hard at a fast pace, and they will wear those colors of brown and gold with great pride.
I have a feeling that all those things you just mentioned are why you love the game, but what is it about the game of football that Craig Bohl really loves?
Well, unlike probably any other game, there's so many moving parts out there, and it's a team game. It's amazing how much can get done when nobody cares who gets the credit. It's one of those games where you have all kinds of adversity that you deal with. You have guys that have to put their own selfish interest aside. You can be a great quarterback if you don't have an offensive line. Doesn't really matter. Or you can be an outstanding individual player over on defense. Maybe you're a great linebacker, but those defensive linemen are really important for your job. And so when you have a group of young men that develop into men, that roll up their sleeves and have a really clear vision of where they're going and are unselfish, and you accomplish things that no one else thought were possible, there's nothing more rewarding.
I'm curious if you have maybe a game day ritual, or if there's some part of game day, we all love game day, but what that you cherish when you wake up on Saturday
You
morning?
bet. Probably the thing that I enjoy doing, everybody will talk about the pep talks that you give right before the game, and those can be really inspiring. Certainly the look right before you come out of the locker room and you look in the eye and they're all strapped up, ready to go. There's nothing like that, and no one else in America has that vantage point other than the head football coach when you're leading that football team out there on the field. And then I think the last thing is having an opportunity to get to know these guys on Friday nights as we get together at a meal and have casual conversation. How's your week gone? What are your mom and dad coming to the game? How's your coursework going in school? You have a chance just to get to know those guys even a little bit better. Surprisingly, the night before a game, those guys will open up.
I know there's a group that you're really proud of, and that's your coaching staff. And you've been together for a long time with those guys. Maybe talk a little bit about them, what makes them special, what makes them so special to you.
Right. First of all, that's the number one job as a head football coach, the composition of that coaching staff. What's great about this group that is comprised here with the 2014 Cowboy football program is we have several guys that have joined us from North Dakota State, and so they're going to bring a great deal of expertise as far as our schematic understanding. Those guys know me really well, and I know them really well. You could go in and you could ask Brent Vegan, our offensive coordinator, say, hey, what three things does Coach Bohl want us to accomplish on offense, or more than that? He could list them off. But they all have such great skill sets that, we're going to grow because they've been able to expand as people and as coaches and grow. And, it's great to see what we've done on defense. It's great to see what we've done on offense. And then we've added some coaches, from different parts of the country. And I think those guys are going to bring another great deal of expertise to really building this football program.
Have you had a chance, I know it's early and spring ball is right around the corner, but have you had a chance to get to know the kids yet? Is it still a little early, or what's your feel?
We're gaining ground. Quite frankly, I almost knew our recruits better than I did our own players, and that's kind of sad because of the timing. But we've had off-season conditioning. I've had an opportunity to go through, engage, getting to know their names, where they're from. That'll come into play. I don't know all their names right now, but there will come a time in the near future where I'll be able to look each guy in the eye, know their name, know where they're from, and know more about them.
Well, spring ball is right around the corner, and you're going to know a lot about them. Then, what are some of the things you want to get taken care of in this very busy time?
First of all, we got to coach from the shoulders up. There needs to be a winning attitude, a competitive attitude that needs to be instilled, and that's a thing that's sometimes more easily said than done. That'll come about. There'll be some challenging times through adversity, and we're going through that through our off-season conditioning right now. But we need to establish our offensive system. We'll run the West Coast offense, which is it's a pro-style offense. It's going to be a ground attack offense, but we need to establish our offensive philosophy, our defensive philosophy, and our schemes on offense and defense, and then our kicking game. And then we'll experiment a little bit, adding some new things, and then moreover getting to know our personnel. If we accomplish those objectives coming out of spring football, that's going to set us up right for our opening game against Montana.
Well, you've got me fired up. I'm sitting next to you. I'm all fired up for the season. I know the fans will be. Thanks for being with us, Coach.
You bet. We're excited about this.
Okay, head coach Craig Bohl with us today. Until next time, thanks for being with us.